Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, following the devastation caused by Typhoon Odette, some environmental groups say this is a wake-up call to address climate emergency. Thousands of Filipinos are still without food and aid almost a week since the onslaught of Odette. We'll tell you some of the ways on how we can help and reach out. UN Environment Goodwill Ambassador and Planet CORA founder Antoinette Taus and Caritas Manila Executive Director Reverend Father Anton Pascual join us in the program. As many parts of the country reel from the destruction caused by Typhoon Odette, environmental group Greenpeace says this should serve as a wake-up call to address the climate crisis. They also urge the government to declare a climate emergency as typhoons will continue to get worse every year. Meantime, several groups have launched their initiatives in helping areas affected by Odette. First, let's go straight to the source of the story. We have UN Environment Goodwill Ambassador and Planet CORA founder Antoinette Taus. Tony, welcome to the source. So good to see you again.
Thank you so much, Pinky, and thank you for having me to talk about such an urgent issue that really needs to be discussed.
First off, I know you have always been very busy, but this is an added layer for you and your group because you're also helping our countrymen affected by Typhoon Odette. Tell us more about your initiative. I think you're doing it through We Are CORA.
Yes, our nonprofit organization, CORA, along with a lot of organizations. I feel like every single organization out there is really mobilizing right now, deploying whatever they can urgently because people are really in urgent need of even basic needs such as food and water. We're getting reports of people, not just rationing what they still have, but those that have already run out of everything completely or have lost everything due to the typhoon. But when we speak of relief operations, it's really not just about preparing for disasters anymore or really bringing relief immediately after. It's really thinking about the long-term moves that we can make, the long-term decisions that can be made to prevent this from happening even further in the future, because this is a reality for us in the Philippines now. This is the 15th storm to hit the Philippines this year, Typhoon Rai, but the Philippines is actually hit by an average of 20 storms per year. And we have been declared by scientists, studies show that we are the number one country most at risk from climate change and its impacts in the world. The World Meteorological Organization also identified that 75% of deaths in the Southwest Pacific region, our area, are attributed to our country. So when we think about these numbers, it's really not just about relief efforts or bringing what is urgently needed now. It's about looking to the future of what can be done to prevent this from happening and prevent lives even being lost even further.
That's right. There must be short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions to this problem. But first, I want to talk about the kind of relief your group has initiated for the victims of Typhoon Odette. It's very interesting because I know that you have family relief packages, and these are packages that cost a certain amount of money. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 800 pesos. But the good thing about this is it's good for 5 days. Can you tell us more about that? And together with also very important, the solar lamps.
Thank you so much for asking about that, Pinky. Yes, so these family relief packages consist of basic needs from food to hygiene kits that people actually are in dire urgent need of right now. So for 800 pesos, as you mentioned, this is something that can be good for a family of 4 for up to 5 days. We are deploying different items in different areas according to needs and according to what can be given, according to logistics as well. We're also deploying solar chargers that also have lights on on them. So these are things that are also in great need because a lot of people have lost power. A lot of areas do not have power right now, entire cities and regions as well. We're also deploying water filters through Waves for Water Philippines. Now, these solar lamps that you were seeing on the screen right now are actually also lamps that we have given to Isla Verde in Batangas, which actually is still recovering from the typhoons of 2020. So many of these places
I think that was Typhoon Rolly.
Yes, still from Typhoon Rolly and Quinta. So a lot of these areas are still rebuilding. Boats that were lost during that time haven't been completely rebuilt yet. A lot of houses are still destroyed and damaged. So what's happening now is just further impacting them even more. Now, some of these lights are actually also made of recycled materials. So we also encourage everyone to think of waste and litter as they give their donations and find ways to help prevent this, because these communities also will not have any way of taking care of that as well.
As you were mentioning a while ago, these are the immediate relief that our kababayans need. The family relief packages that cost about 800 pesos, which would be good for 5 days. These are what we're showing right now. Very interesting. The solar lights or solar lamps. How do you call them? Are they solar lights or solar lamps?
We actually call them upcycled solar lamps.
Upcycled solar lamps. That's also very interesting. As Tony was saying a while ago, they have been distributing this in an island in Isla Verde in Batangas. That was there was destruction there due to Typhoon Rolly back in 2020. But it's very important for you to inform us and inform the public that while we are on emergency mode right now, local government officials, the private sector as well, to be able to distribute food and water, a necessity really is the water filtration system that you also espouse, that you also encourage. Tell us more about this, because at the end of the day, really, we don't want to see those plastic water bottles.
Yes. So through the amazing technology and innovations of Waves for Water Philippines, along with other organizations, we're deploying water filtration systems. Now, these are simple buckets that people can actually assemble themselves. And one system, it's like the size of a normal bucket, is actually good for 50 to 100 people for up to 5 years. Now, these systems can actually filter most polluted water. It comes with instructions, of course, in our local language as well. And this is actually something that people are urgently asking for right now. Reports say that people are dying from dehydration and much more. So these are things that can actually be deployed immediately. Actually, today, we have water filtration systems on the way to Siargao as we speak. And we're hoping to be able to deploy more by the end of the week. Of course, with your help, with citizens, donations, companies that would like to direct their efforts, not just to CORA, but to other organizations that are doing such incredible work right now through the holidays. When we speak of the holidays, there's no vacation, of course, when it comes to climate change and its impacts.
No, absolutely. And that's what we need to talk about also very briefly as a last issue. We need to talk about short-term, medium-term, long-term solutions. How is the Philippines doing with regards to this real and this problem we are facing on climate change? And let me add, what must we do as individuals?
As mentioned, it's really heartbreaking to think that we've been declared the #1 country most at risk of climate change in the world. Now, when we look at the impacts of our nation, or even as individuals, as Filipinos, it's very small compared to the emissions of the largest emitters of the world. But considering the impacts, the lives, and the livelihoods lost in our nation itself, it is no excuse for us to not move forward. But we don't just want to be the poster child or the image of being victims of the climate crisis. We can be leaders in nature-based solutions. So as a nation, it is important to not just support, but of course, for us to be able to find ways to finance and fund nature-based solutions led by local communities, women, indigenous communities, communities. The youth are doing incredible work as well and deserve this support also. As individuals, I feel like it is really our responsibility to support policies, and not just that, of course, in the upcoming elections, to be able to vote, not specifically just as for individuals or looking at names, but looking at what each one of them stand for, those that will be building a greener future, a more sustainable future, so that these impacts are not just helped by relief operations, but are actually already prevented beforehand through, once again, livelihood initiatives, nature-based solutions. And these are the things that we can do each and every day. And of course, in little ways, conserving energy, conserving water, preventing pollution and waste. And right now, during this time, allocating what we can, whatever we have for gifts towards those that really need our help the most. Our organization is open to donations, www.wearecora.org. But whoever you choose to support, just make sure that you do background checks and that you are donating to valid groups and initiatives as well.
Yeah.
Together, we can really make a difference.
Planet CORA founder Antoinette Taus, thank you so much for your time, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Pinky.
And we will be taking a short break. We'll speak to Caritas Manila and their donation drive for Typhoon Odette survivors. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Caritas Manila, Executive Director, Father Anton Pascual. Father Anton, welcome to The Source. Good to see you.
Yeah, Pinky, how are you? Good morning. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, I know, huh? Father, there is, of course, this move from Caritas Manila appealing for help para po sa mga kababayan natin na sinalanta ng bagyong Odette. Tell us, I'm just going to start it off. How can we donate? Where and what can we donate?
Well, basically, we know already during this time of the year, we are visited by strongest typhoons, no? Especially Visayas and Mindanao. And this is up to January, Pinky, no? Ang mga bagyong malalakas, umaabot ng January for Visayas and Mindanao. That's why Caritas Manila, in partnership with our social action centers in the church, already do some adaptation, preparation, repositioning of our relief operation, because we know that our country is usually passed by strong typhoons. And of course, immediately Caritas Manila, since last week, started out our campaign for relief, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. And so far, we were able to gather 20 million so far pledges to date, and we have distributed almost half of it to major direct hit dioceses. If you are aware, we call it dioceses, Surigao, which includes the Dinagat and the Siargao Island. Of course, Cebu, as you know that, Tagbilaran, Talibon, Maasin, Kabangkalan, and some parts of CDO. Around 7 dioceses were already benefited by Caritas Manila. And we have partners on the ground. Sabi ko nga sa mga pare, kung kulang yung pondo na $1 million per diocese, mangutang muna doon sa mga grocery at supermarket. And usually what we do, Pinky, if the area is affected so much, we partner with the next diocese. Like in Surigao, it was affected so much. That's why our operation is in Butuan. Our plan B is in Butuan.
Yeah, because in Butuan, there is the lines of communication are open, electricity. There's electricity as well there. That's why there are a lot of rescue or mission flights from Siargao back and forth to Butuan. I want to talk about, so you've raised quite an amount. And that's very good to hear. Half of it has already been distributed. But Iris, is there really a focus right now with the remaining and what will still be donated in the areas ravaged by Typhoon Odette?
Yeah, but basically, the immediate is food and water, as we know that, no? But of course, as the day goes by, we have to be aware of the hygienes, no? And the polluted water. That's why water purification is very important. And to provide big water jugs, for families para maipon nila yung mga clean water. And of course, the sanitation problem, no? Marami ng mga sakit after a few days, after a week, no? Of the typhoon. That's why we have to look after the hygiene, sanitation, and clean water. No, that's the dangerous part after a week after the typhoon.
Mm-hmm. And with regards to, well, particular churches, was there, where were the completely or partially damaged churches?
Yes, practically in all areas. Like Bishop Pabilio was texting me, yung pong Bishop Pabilio in Taytay, Palawan, yung mga barrio chapels, no? Barrio chapels were destroyed by the typhoon. That's why in the church, we have a reconstruction project, not only a rehab, but reconstruction project. But as you know, Pinky, no, the chapel, we try to make the chapel 3-in-1. It is not only a place of worship. The chapel is also used for training and formation. Even DSWD is using the chapels of the church, no, in order to distribute goods. At the same time, we use the chapel as evacuation center. That's why we have to make sure that the chapels are very sturdy and strong that can withstand a typhoon.
The structural
category 4.
The structural integrity is very important.
Yeah. In Yolanda, we were able to construct 75 chapels that is supposed to be 3-in-1. We're still checking yung mga ginawa namin chapel noong 2014, 2015 kung matatag pa because of this typhoon, Odette.
Father Anton, as we mentioned, Christmas is around the corner. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you to speak to our kababayans who are down, who have lost lives, family members, property, livelihood during this time of what is supposed to be a festive season. Please go ahead, Father Anton.
Sa ating mga kababayan na nanonood po dito at nakikinig sa radyo, tayo po ay nakikisa sa inyong lahat sa kalagayang ito ng ating bansa. Alam naman natin ang bansa ay palaging dinadalaw ng mabibigat na bagyo tulad nitong Odette, ng Yolanda at iba pang mga mabibigat na bagyo. Ngunit naniniwala po tayo, may dahilan ang lahat ng bagay na yan, walang aksidente. At sa diwa ng Pasko, na kung saan ang ating Panginoong Jesucristo ay isinilang, no, upang turuan tayo kung paano mabuhay at magpakatao sa bawat isa. Sabi nga, nagkatawan tao ang Diyos upang ang tao ay matulad sa kabanalan, pag-ibig, pagmamalasakit, at pakikiramay ng Diyos sa atin. Huwag niyo pong kalilimutan, hindi po kayo nag-iisa. Kasama natin ang simbahan, kasama natin ang sambayanan na nakikidama sa inyong nararamdaman. At kami po ay nananalangin sa inyo na maligtas ang ating buhay at ating mga hanap buhay at mga mahal sa buhay. At maraming taong may mabubuting kalooban, men and women of Goodwill, na siyang magbigay ng ayuda sa atin sa mga araw na ito, pagkain, tubig, mga baterya, tents, damit, gamot, para po tayo makaahon sa krisis na ito at pagkatapos niyan, mabigyan tayo ng rehabilitation, mapagawa ang mga bahay natin, mabigyan tayo ng puhunan sa ating mga livelihood. Yan ang diwa ng Pasko. Ang Pasko po ay hindi lang inuman at kainan. Ang tunay na diwa ng Pasko, yung unang Pasko ay payak. Ang tunay na Pasko ay pakikiisa sa mga maliliit, sa mga mahihirap at mga nangangailangan ng tulong. Kaya't sa panahong ito, madama natin ang tunay na Pasko sa ating pagdadamayan, no? At makita natin si Kristo, no, sa bawat isa. Sabi nga sa Mateo 25, ano man ang gawin mo sa pinakamaliliit ay ginawa mo sa Diyos, no? Ang tunay na diwa ng Pasko ay pakikiramay sa mga biktima ng kalamidad, gawa ng tao at gawa ng kalikasan. Kaya kayo pong mga nabiktima ngayon, kami po ay narito upang ipagdasal kayo, samahan kayo, at matulungan kayo makaahon sa kalagayan ito. Salamat po at pagpalain kayo ng Diyos.
Father Anton Pascual, maraming salamat din po sa inyo and Merry Christmas po sa inyo sa Caritas Manila. We will be taking a short break. The Source will be right back. Countries and private groups are pitching in to help typhoon-affected areas as victims continue to appeal for aid. The United Kingdom pledged nearly 50 million pesos to the Philippine Red Cross to support those in need of assistance. Canada will also course financial aid through the humanitarian organization, expressing sympathies to all affected. The United States is providing emergency shelter assistance to some 3,000 families. 10,000 food packs will also be delivered to Butuan City in Agusan del Norte. Around 20,000 food packs from China are on the way to devastated areas. Each pack contains 5 kilograms of rice, 10 canned goods, and 10 noodle packs. China is also handing out nearly 5 million kilograms of rice in cooperation with the DSWD, while Japan also tapped the national government to deliver relief goods, as well as generators, tents, sleeping pads, and water containers. The typhoon displaced nearly 500,000 people in central and southern regions just days before Christmas. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.